Hello chess friends, and welcome to Yazadov's chess channel, and welcome to my chess tactics and chess puzzle series. So in this series we see all of the possible tactical motifs that can happen in a chess game. So today it's time for another. Today I wanted to show this intermediate move, and this intermediate move is really a strong tactical idea. It basically happens in a middle game, but of course it's also possible in an end game. And what is an intermediate move? This intermediate move is really sort of an unexpected move that really cuts out and interrupts your opponent's apparently forced sequence of moves and changes the outcome of the game, of course. So you see, basically maybe your opponent has calculated his tactics, but you have this intermediate move with maybe giving a check, attacking the queen, and maybe attacking another piece, and really interrupt his attacking ideas. So let's see now a couple of examples. Here I already set you up a position. It was a play by Vishwanathan Anand against Michael Adams, and here Vishwanathan Anand played a very strong move. He plays the move b5, of course attacking the knight and the bishop, and here Michael Adams thought, of course, after knight on c3 and attacking the queen, he will gain a pawn, of course, because after bishop takes on c3, of course, black is able to take the pawn on b5. But that's not really true, because you have this intermediate move, of course, this in-between move, and in German it has a really cool name. It's called the Zwischenzug, and here queen on d3 was played. Here, of course, with this immediate threat to checkmate here on h7, so that's why black is forced to do something, and here he goes g6. Now we can play bishop takes on c3, and you see now after that we can take one of these pieces. So here queen on c7 was played, b takes a6, and now knight on a5, and bishop takes on a5, and you see white will continue simply the game with the piece up, and of course win the endgame. So this queen on d3, this was this intermediate move with this very strong attack, and black didn't have any counterplay after this move, of course. So let's see now another example. It was also a very good game. It was played by Mikhail Chigorin against Semyon Alapin. Here Semyon Alapin thought that he's gonna win the game, because after c3 he played the move knight on f3. Here we have g takes f3 played by Chigorin, and what Alapin probably thought, that after rook on d6, with the preparation of course to play rook on g6, white doesn't have any counterplay, and he's gonna checkmate him, of course. So that's not true, of course, because here Mikhail Chigorin finds a very nice idea, and he plays this intermediate move, rook on e6. So he's giving up the rook in order to bring his bishop on a very nice diagonal. So here rook on e6 was played, and now queen on b3 with the pin on the king, of course. The rook has to protect, and now we have rook on e1. So you see, we have now used the pin here, and we are trying to continue the game, of course, with this piece up after taking a rook. So here rook on g6 was played, king on f1, rook queen takes on f3, now rook on e3, queen on g2, and now king on e1. King on f8, and now Mikhail Chigorin simply took the rook. Here we have queen on h1, king on d2, and now rook on g1. But now after queen on b4, king on g8 was sort of a forced move. Now rook on e8, king on f7, queen on e7, king on g6, and now queen on e6. And in this position black resigned, because you see, after king on h5 we can also capture here the pawn on f5. So you see, this rook on e6 idea by Mikhail Chigorin was really a strong idea, and this intermediate move really helped him to win the game. So Semyon Alapin didn't calculate all of these tactics, because he probably thought he's gonna checkmate, as I said, here white, but of course that was not possible because of this very strong idea by white. So let's see now another example, and it was a really cool game played by the legendary Robert James Fischer against Samuel Schweber here, and here Samuel Schweber plays the move e4. So His idea is, of course, to trade off the queens, because he has also here this attack on this bishop on d3, and he probably thought, okay, I'm gonna trade off the queens, and now I have a very strong center control with my own pawns. But here, of course, the legendary Bobby finds this intermediate move. He plays the move very strong. Rook takes on e4. So you see, if black takes now first the rook, of course you have the move bishop on f4, and of course winning the queen. So that's why queen on g3 was played, and now rook takes on d4. But you see, black has now the problem, he doesn't have good squares for the queen. If he goes with the queen somewhere on this diagonal, of course you have the move bishop on f4 again, and again win the queen. So here queen on g4 was played, rook takes on g4, bishop takes on g4, and now bishop on g6, and now Robert James Fischer has a very strong pawn here, which can also be supported with the move f7. Now rook from h to g8 was played, bishop on h7, rook on h8, and now bishop on d3. Here we have rook from d to e8, and now f7. So you see, black has really problems with his pawn. So here he played rook on e7, and now we have the promotion here on f8, rook takes on f8, and now bishop on b4. And you see, after taking rook, we have here, of course, a better position, because we have sort of an endgame in which we have this 3-on-1 situation on the king side. And of course this was a game that Robert James Fischer, of course, won, and here he showed this very nice and effective weapon of this intermediate move. So, and of course at the end of the video, this is one problem for you to solve at home. This intermediate move, of course, is now our subject. You see, black has attacked the queen, and he's gonna take the rook. So here you have to find this intermediate move for yourself. I'm sure you can solve it at home, have fun meanwhile while solving it, and of course you can also write your answers into this in my inbox here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, of course, you can also watch my other chess tactics and chess puzzles videos, and you can also watch my basics in chess videos with this opening principles, middle game strategy, and the end game strategy. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, and chess is the best, of course.